Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the House of Swing, Jazz and Lincoln Center here, the heart of Columbus Circle here in New York City. Legendary pianist, composer, songwriter, as well as educator Doug Carn in the late 60s and early 70s changed the dynamic of how Black American music was heard by way of jazz music. What he decided to do was take elements of what Eddie Jefferson and guys like Jon Hendricks did and wrote songs to some very important jazz classics or standards by jazz musicians. Now, he and his wife, Jean Carn, recorded some very important records, 4 on the Black Jazz record labels, which are now considered iconic records. Mr. Carn and I sit down and talk candidly about his career and talk about and dissect some very important parts of his career, including his move from Atlanta, Georgia to Los Angeles. Also sit down and reflect on his relationship with the late Maurice White, the founding member of Earth, Wind & Fire, as well as we sit down and talk and discuss the life of the great Melvin Van Peebles, as well as we talk about Black Jazz records and how his songs now are more relevant than when they came out over 50 years ago. In 1969-70, when you were in the process of recording Infant Eyes, where were you going through musically? What was going on at that particular time in your life?
Well, I was really growing musically, and developing musically, but what was actually going on in my life, man, I was trying to find God, which is impossibility, you know what I mean? You just believe what you believe in and join whatever group or no group, that you come in contact. But I want to try to really find out what was going on. And so I asked Grandma, because coming up as a kid, I played in church all the time, because my mother played in church, right? And I didn't mind, it wasn't a dread thing, oh, I gotta go to church. We had a good time. She played the organ, I played the piano. I played the piano, she played the organ, And we go to church, but every Sunday, choir practice and all of that. But when Monday came, wasn't no more said about religion in the house, All they was talking about was do your homework, stay on the honor roll, keep up your grade point average, And I ended up being a valedictorian in my class, But in answer to your question, what was I looking for? I was trying to find God, so I called up Grandma crying like a baby. She said, "What's the matter, baby?" I'm about 21 then, maybe. I says, I'm trying to talk to God, She said, "You talking to him?" I said, "I know that, grandmother, but I want to hear him talk back to me, You know what I mean? So I said, "Is this you?" And so she said, "Well, you got to go on a fast for 3 days and 3 nights. Don't eat nothing, don't drink nothing, and he might talk to you and he might not." That kind of thing, right? So I had been with Earth, Wind, and Fire for a few months, and I was starting to be in the vegetarian thing and all of that, and fasting. I knew about fasting anyway, And so I didn't eat nothing for 3 days and almost 3 nights, and I said, God ain't gonna talk to me. So I ate a little bit of something, and laid down across the bed. And boy, did I have a dream, about the very things I was thinking about and wanted to ask God about, And over the succeeding months and days and years, I would go on a fast and ask about anything. I want to know who the Hillside Strangler was, what the lotto gonna be. And it'd be revealed to me, and I wouldn't play it, You know what I mean?
There's a saying. My old Bible teacher, Miss Moss, God rest her soul, she used to say, "Let go, let God."
Yeah, right.
And it seems like you're in tune with the universe.
You are. That's all it is, But there's a couple of gurus come every now and then that's pretty hip. And there's one out named Pretty Hip. He says, "Look, do this, do that, but don't mess with God, because he'll worry you to death." He didn't really mean it like that, but you know what I'm saying? Because he told Job in the Bible, he said, "Man, y'all can check and study and all that, you ain't gonna find me, you know what I mean? Are you kidding?"
Right.
Einstein thought the Milky Way was the whole universe,
Right.
How you go? How we, But I mean, that's kind of, you're going to edit this, because we can end up talking about this a long time. We want to get to the music, but that's
we're going to, no. This is important, because.
And then looking, because see what it was Muhammad Ali, right? It was Coltrane, it was Dr. King, and it was Malcolm, And they all talking about God, You know what I mean? So I said, well, it's got to be in here somewhere with that. But I know these average people that's going to these average churches ain't got it. You know. I know that ain't it. You know, so I came up with enough to put infinite together where everybody that believed in a God, could get to it. I didn't try to push one religion, a particular belief over the other. On Spirit of New Land, a little bit of my own personal opinion slipped out, but not enough to keep it off the charts, the Billboard, Record World, and Cashbox. And the disc jockeys from playing it, because what I've told my brother musicians a long time, said, look, man, it ain't enough to wear a dashiki and hold up a clenched fist with an afro, and say black, 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 black. Man, where's the music?
Right.
The music got to have substance. It's got to be in tune. You know what I mean? The lyrics got to be intelligent and relevant. You know what I mean? You can't just say anything, man. Not sliding or berating my brothers, man. But some of them on Blue Note wrote some of the most magnificent songs, and gave them the stupidest name, like the Gigolo, How am I write something that will help back black people about that? I don't care how hip it is,
Well, it's always been.
I mean, it's fun and it's
commercial. Yeah, right.
But we got too much at stake.
Right.
To be wasting our time doing that. Everything we need to lift us up and pull us out of the, and get the system off our back, So I had to pick the ones that had a decent name, title in the first place. And so that's what I did. Simple, everyday things. Songs the guy wrote for his daughter. Infinize. Peace. The world, we need, peace. Need to think about things. Contemplation. You know what I mean?
Acknowledgement.
Yeah. But, it ain't had to be no great, monumental, testimonial. And the standards it's enough for them. They would be doing that. The standards was old when I was born. Most of them. When I was in high school, I was playing There Will Be Another You, and all of that.
But I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
Your songs now are standards. There's a generation now, a couple of generations now that are playing your songs now, and they're considered standards.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that now? Because I mean,
vindicated, because you know why? I'll tell you one thing. See, I had the contracts, Irving Berlin, vaudeville, ragtime, contract that was airtight, Horace Silver gave it to me. And then Wayne said, yeah, this is it. This is how you find this, And so I go to Bobby Hutcherson's gig, man. And he couldn't even talk to me. I said, Bobby, he couldn't even talk to me. So I said, well, don't worry about it. So I'm going to do it anyway because I got this plan that fits in I ain't changing my plan. Because Maurice White told me, he said, Doug, Horace Silver already got some lyrics to Peace. I said, so yeah? He said, yeah, he already got some. Well, I said, you know what? He's just going to have 2 sets of lyrics because I ain't changing nothing, And Horace loved it when he heard it, so he had to come to me. Bobby wouldn't do that, right? So anyway, because I couldn't even talk to Bobby. So after it came out, they never gave me no money, But my version helped make the song more famous than it was. Same thing with Infinize, you know. Wayne Short and Horace, you know, they paid me, you know, McCoy, my brother, I wasn't worried about him at all, you know. I almost gave that to McCoy as a gift, you know. But, you know, the intro that I put on a Little Beast poem, you know, ba-da-ba-ba-doo-ba-da-ba-doo-ba-da-ba-doo-ba, everybody started playing that intro. Everybody. It got so bad that Bobby had to play it that way himself. He would go to places, you know, and they say, "You Bobby Hutch?" He said, "Yeah, I'm Bobby Hutch." I said, "You wrote Little Beast poems?" He says, "Yeah." Just play that. So he goes, "Day, day, 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 day." I said, "No, that ain't it. It don't go like that. Da 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 do ba da do ba da do ba." And he ended up start playing it. And then I heard Freddie Hubbard play it with Cedar Walton, and they played it the way I played it, but they put that intro on it too. So it's like all the things you are, you know. In the beginning they say di-doo-da, 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 di-doo-dee, you know. So that's a contribution that I made to the working substance of modern jazz, you know, regardless of lyric, instrument, or composition, where they can't play the song without using my intro. You know what I mean? It's like they ain't hip to what's going on, you know?
Well, I think another thing too that we have to add, the reason why you revisioned it for your generation.
Yeah.
Your generation understood the song and connected to it.
Yeah.
And that's why there's an everlasting connection. That's why people are going back to your version as opposed to the original.
Yeah, 50 years, man. I don't look 50 too much. You know, maybe 59, you know. Yeah, man, and so that made me feel good because you know, you don't know if people really listening to you or not, you know, or understanding you in depth. You know, maybe they think you just got a gimmick, you know, and making it because of the gimmick, you know.
You know, I wanted to go back to something that you had said earlier about, you know, the song's titles, The Gigolo. And it's always been the gatekeepers who are in charge that like to keep us in that minstrel.
Right.
And jazz music is so much more than that. It's intellectual, it's sexual, it's spiritual, it's all of the above. No record company would touch this record except for Black Jazz, which we'll go to in just a second. And it seems like during the late 60s, early 70s, African Americans were going through this period of self-awareness, enlightenment.
Of course.
And I think this record was significant for the times because there was no Afrocentricity. In fact, between you and Earth, Wind and Fire, Maurice White's vision, we didn't see or hear any of that in the music.
And I was included in both of them, him and myself. A friend of mine from Atlanta named Sidney Miller Jr. was working for Capitol Records in Hollywood, and I called him up. I said, man, where you at, you know? He said, well, man, I'm up here at Franklin Avenue, but I'm getting ready to move. So better come and see me before I move, because I'll be out in the valley, you know. I said, okay, so I go to see him, and I look around my apartments. I said, you know, this must be a pretty cool place to live, because he's living there, you know. So I move in there, and these guys, well, first of all, Wall was in there, Mandrill was in there, Janis Joplin was in there, Ruth Buzzy was in there, Reverend Ike was in there, Amos was in there.
Famous Amos?
Famous Amos. I'll tell you that story too. But
Chambers Brothers?
Yeah, the Chambers Brothers. They was in there, and I said, God damn, you know. And then here's some other people ain't nobody heard of named Earth, Wind and Fire. So they found out I could play, and they found out Gene could sing, so they will use us on their first 2 albums, you know.
Now, did you know about Maurice by way of his former days at Chess Records and?
No, I didn't know none of that.
And Ramsey Lewis Trio?
I didn't know none of that.
How did you find all that out?
I ain't found that out yet. All I knew Maurice was Maurice, and I was going to use him to play on Infinite, but he wasn't playing everything quite like I wanted, and Michael Carvin was, you know. And in hindsight, I could say I wish that I used Maurice on one tune at least, you know. But in double hindsight, I don't think he could have done much more than help the last 50 years, which it did by itself. It's forever now, you know. You make a half a century, that's the ball game, you know.
You know, and it's funny, and it goes back to what I told you earlier. You and a couple of handful of musicians did a vast spectrum of different type of music with under a decade. How were you chronicling all this music that you were cranking out?
Man, all black music is the same. All music is the same, but black music in particular is the same. It's just like you got Ars Nova, Ars Antiqua, the Gregorian chant, you got Baroque, you got classical, you know, all those formats that come under the overall heading. You know, you got German lieder, you got Italian street songs, but all that comes under the heading of classical music, you know. Librettos from operas, you know. They just want to say that Beethoven, Brahms, and you know, maybe, you know, Bruckner or Schubert, you know, is classical music, but
this is.
It's all classical.
This is classical music too.
Right, yeah. Because, you know, the reason they call it classical music so much is because they classified it heavily, you know. Symphony number 1 in D minor, Symphony number 2 in C sharp, Symphony number 3 in E flat major, and whatever the name of it was, you know, Eroka, whatever the woman you naming it after was, is in parentheses. You know what I mean? But this is a #1 hit, #3 hit. You know, it was always like that. You know, and a lot of it was religious, was sacred. You know, everybody had cantatas. You know, and then you had to write a oboe sonata, a clarinet sonata, a violin sonata, a cello. You know, you had to write for every instrument. You know, then you had to say what key it was in. You know, because see, no matter what they say about jazz musicians being bad and virtuosos, most of them can play in some keys better than others.
Right.
So classical is the same thing, you know.
I noticed.
So that's what they say in E major. Okay, you did a bad symphony in B flat minor. Let's see what you can do with E minor. You know, which is another key. You know, because Bird said something. The guy was interviewing Bird, and he said, "Man, Bird has got some theoretical problems that he's going to sooner or later have to come to terms with." He said, "What's that?" Well, he says that he really don't view music as songs in F or G or B flat or E flat or C minor. He views music as one all-embracing, encompassing key. He said he's going to have to come to terms with that. I said, "You stupid. Bird is telling you, he's trying to open your head. Right. He's telling you this stuff, you know, and you acting like he don't know what he's talking about."
Stravinsky used to come and hang out at Birdland to watch him play.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of classical musicians
that
knew, and they came down to pay attention to what he was doing.
Because regardless what it was calling it, or named it, what part of the city, or the country, or the world it came out of, it was the stuff.
Yeah.
It was the stuff, you know. I kept up with what my people was doing, you know. I kept up with what was in the record store, what they was playing on the radio, and I connected with it. But I tell you, man, me and a whole lot of other people, we didn't have the slightest idea that Maurice was gonna go that far with that stuff.
Well, I just finished.
We didn't have the slightest idea.
I just finished reading Ramsey Lewis's autobiography, guy, and actually he's been on my show a couple of times, and he said that Maurice was just this quiet, humble. Yeah. He had this quiet, and he had to bring out some of that to him when he toured with him. And when I think of Mr. White's music, I think of two things. The 70s, really, there was a message in the music.
Yeah.
You could dance to it, but there was a heavy message to what?
To all of it.
Yeah. And then another...
To all of it.
And the thing that I really liked about Mr. White, he had a thing that he wrote in his autobiography called The Concept. Right. And that meant all music is the same music. How he interpreted music and composed and wrote all of it was just miraculous.
Yeah.
I mean... The first two albums that Earth, Wind & Fire put out, that you and your wife were on, are bipolar opposite towards the end of the 70s. I Am and That's the Way of the World. He kind of built on the ideas. How did you take all of that as you saw the progression of his music in the band?
Well, I wasn't going to wear them costumes they was wearing, I tell you that. I wasn't going to wear that crap. You know, but I found out when people got wild costumes, right? All you got to do is put on full African shit. You know, and you can't be eliminated.
You're right.
You know, they want bright colors and tight. You know, that's all you got to do. it can't be stopped.
That's right.
You know.
Were you and Gene part of, did you guys play a part of the soundtrack for Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song? Or did you came in later?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Maurice gave me that gig.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I got to know Melvin very well. And I ended up being Melvin's musician.
Wow.
You know, all big guys in Hollywood have a piano player. Bob Hope had a piano player. Can you imagine that? Now what do you need with a piano player? But you know, he sang a little bit, you know. That's what entertainment was. You sang, dance, and tell jokes. You know. You ever heard Eddie Harris tell jokes? He got out like Elvin, Eddie Harris Talks Trash.
Okay, I have heard that. Yeah. Yeah.
Because they booked him and hired him. He thought, okay, they digging Eddie Harris, you know. But they only wanted him to talk. They didn't want him to play. He went to Vegas and paid him good money not to play.
Wow.
And just talk, you know. Eddie Harris was something. I loved him. I went to see him every time.
What's your reflections of Melvin Van Peebles? Melvin is a hero of mine, and he also is a mentor to me.
Yeah, well, I love him. I love him, and see, when I was in Atlanta, he was one of the people I discovered during that period of my life, and everybody that I liked from that time when I got to Hollywood, I met him, you know. And like I said, I was Melvin's musician, and what he would do, he went to Woolworth and bought a chord organ, one of those little organs, we call them keyboard now, and each note had the number written on the back line of the keyboard, you know. And so he'd pick out the melodies and write the numbers down, and they'd give them to me, right? And so I would see what notes there are and stuff, and then the harmony is kind of self-evident. It's simple harmony. So I would write it down, you know. And they said, Doug, what you doing? I said, man, I'm working. I said, man, Melvin robbing you. He's stealing. He got you making up the stuff, and he getting the money. I said, the hell he is. You know, you know, he creating this. You know,
right.
I'm just writing it down for him. You know, so he was paying me a good little salary every week. And one day he said, Doug, this is the last week. I close up the studio. I said, what? He says, yeah, man, I'm moving. You moving? He said, I'm going to New York. Why you going to New York? He said, my son is in the 8th grade and he can't read and his mama can't do nothing with him.
You know, Melvin.
And so he left and, he went to New York, and taught his son how to read. You see how his son turned out.
Yeah, Mario's, and all of his grandkids are doing fantastic too.
And then he went and got on the stock market, right?
Yeah.
But speak of Sweetback, their song,
they killed your papa.
Yeah, they killed your mama.
Yeah.
They bled your mama.
Yeah.
They bled your papa, but they won't bleed me. The other guys, when it busted out there and it became a hit, they'll say, "Where's Melvin?" I said, "Well, I don't know. He speaks fluent French. If I was him, I'd be on the Riviera." That's what they do,
Right.
And that's where he was. Variety magazine had his picture on the front on the beach with a bad white girl.
That sounds just like Melvin.
And they said, well, man, he ain't pay us no money, I said, well, what did your contract say? So, man, we ain't had no contract. We just figured, if it went good, he'd come and bring us some money, I said, he can't do that, when you get some money out of the company, you gotta have an invoice, You can't just go and get money, say, well, look, man, give me 20 grand, I'm gonna take care of the boys. You can't do that, so you have a contract. I had a contract, because overdubbing keyboards on a track, you get double money. And then when you do another one, you get triple money, And so I had a run into the Union Man at Paramount Studios hanging out with a friend of mine named Lee Duncan. He had a couple of parts on Star Trek, But during that time, Sidney Poitier was the only black Negro they was giving good parts to, and Brock Peters was after that. Then after that, they didn't need no more. And I had met Lucy. He introduced me to Sammy Davis Jr. And the Union Man, the new Union Man, came down there, just walking around looking, and so I met him there, And Lucy and Desi had just bought Paramount Studios, right? Now, what am I thinking about this being black jazz, right? I ain't thinking too much about it except my better judgment, right? So I'm down to the Union trying to cash some of these earthly Melvin Van Peebles checks, and make it to the bank, And I saw the Union Man. I said, look, I'm doing a record date for this movie, this black movie, Melvin Van Peebles, And
did you in an ever million years think that Sweetback's Badass Song, one, would do the numbers as an independent film so well, and two, the magnitude that he would have on another generation of black film directors, Spike Lee, his son.
Yeah. He opened the doors, man. But I didn't really have that idea. I wasn't in no film, because they didn't hardly let nobody black write for him nowhere, I mean, if Melvin did a black thing, okay, it's a film, but, so what, I guess I kind of always expected to do well in my life, but sure, yeah, he opened the door, they call it black exploitation, and what is Fred Williamson?
Yeah.
Said, man, my check cashed to the bank just fine, And like they was talking about, yeah, man, you just want the children's circuit back, I said, man, we losing the stuff in our neighborhood, in our community. We need the clubs. When I first went to Harlem during the civil rights struggle, so I would get beat up with the Klan and stuff. My mama sent me away. Every block in Harlem between 116th and 150, 48 had a B3 in it. And I would go there and go from club to club in the morning when they open and play every organ for about 30 minutes, you know. The Top Club, the Baby Grand, you know, all them clubs, Count Basie's, because I knew Shirley Scott and Stanley Turrentine. My uncle used to take me to see them, you know. And, you know, it's just like now and in the past, a young person underage can go with a parent, you know, or somebody that the parent says it's okay. They can't serve you no alcohol. I didn't want that no way, you know. And so I'm in Birdland, looking at Blakey, talking to Bobby Timmons, looking at Lee Morgan and Wayne Shorter. Have no idea that one day I'm gonna write lyrics to some of their most well-known pieces, you know. And so I'm sitting in there, so I told my uncle, they took a break, I'll be right back. Pee Wee Marquette was the
MC,
you know. I said, I'll be right back. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the corner and get a Coke for a quarter. I'm tired of paying 75 cents for a Coca-Cola, you know, in this place. So I said, okay, go ahead. And Bobby Timmons said, oh, I'll go with the kid, you know. So we go outside the door, and as soon as we get 2 or 3 steps, the cops jump out. They say, okay, up against the wall. So he looked at me and says, you a jazz musician? I said, yeah, I'm a jazz musician, you know. He said, roll up your sleeve. So I don't know nothing about that yet, you know. So I started rolling up my sleeve.
And you're just a kid?
I was 14 going on 15.
15, okay.
And so a limo rolled up, blew the horn, and let down the window. And a white man stuck his head out the window and said, leave that kid alone. And they looked at him, and they looked back at me, looked back at him, and they backed off and started walking away. Roll up the window and roll away. Bobby Timmons said, man, do you know who that was? I said, no, I don't know who that was. He said, that was Sinatra.
Chairman of the board.
And I didn't really know about that too much either then, you know. I mean, I knew who Sinatra was, you know, but I was still a kid, you know. I don't know. I mean, I didn't know. I knew who Bill Eckstein was, you know. I know who Jesse Blevins was, you know. I knew who Perry Como was, you know. I knew who Julius LaRosa was, you know. You know, I mean, you know, like I didn't know, you know. You know, I believe I probably knew who Tony Bennett was, you know. And then that's the first time I ran into Sinatra 3 times, you know. I just always kind of been into it, but it wasn't a thing that I wore like a red badge of courage, you know.
Right.
Sinatra rescued me from the cops. I hardly knew what happened, what went down, you know. It's only reflection in later years that I realized the gravity of that, you know. Because, you know, speaking of Tony Bennett, who passed not too long, he was down there marching with the people, you know. And I think it was in Alabama, and the white lady that took Tony Bennett to the airport to go back to New York, they killed her, man. You know, the KKK's killed her just for taking him to. So you can imagine what they might have done to Tony if they could have, you know. And so, you know, black people, white people, but man, you can't ask nobody to do no more than risk their life or to give their life, what else they gonna do, you know?
That's what this music
you
is
ain't gonna risk your black ass, you know?
Right.
You ain't gonna risk your life, you know? You know, you ain't got balls enough to do what John Brown did, you know? You ain't had that kind of balls, you know? Talking about they wouldn't follow Nat Turner. Shit, they won't follow John Brown either, you know? Oh man, them
Doug.
weekend ass crybabies. I hate them, man.
Doug, who are some of your musical influences as far as
Jimmy
piano?
Smith. Jimmy.
How old were you the first time you saw him?
The first time I saw him,
Mm-hmm.
well, I was a big boy then. I was 16, going on 17.
What did you think?
I thought he was the Lord God Almighty. Excuse me, Father, you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody, other black organ players, hated him for the most part, because he would talk about them like dogs. He was like the Muhammad Ali of boxing, you know, talk a whole bunch of trash, right? But
backed it
he
up.
could back it up. He could back it up. And so when Jimmy Smith would come around, they'd be, and I'd be, yes, Jimmy, where are your shoes? Let me shine. You need some barbecue? I know where the best ribs in town are. Jimmy, and he liked me, and I wasn't no weakling, and I turned them on to a couple of things. The first thing I turned them on to was using Russian tubes.
Really?
In the organ, because they was more powerful and they was designed to withstand a nuclear attack. And they loud, they strong. And see, when you got loud and a whole bunch of power, you ain't got to use all that power. You can put it on medium and have a lot of kick. And see, my mother was an organ player, but she didn't play no B3. She played pipe organs.
Okay.
With all this stuff.
Yeah. Different. It's a different beast.
A different beast. I'm glad you said that word, because it was a church on the corner from my house where I live now, a black church, and some Sundays I have nothing to do. I go down there and I play and they take up a collection for me, They didn't have no money, and so, but they had a nice Hammond organ, and so he said, Brother Douglas, you're the first one to come in here and play that organ. And other people come in here and say they can play the organ, and they play one song and then they go jump right on the piano, They act like the organ will bite you. That organ won't bite you. I said, yes, it will too, Reverend. If you don't know what you're doing, it'll bite you like a lion, a tiger, or a snake, or throw you off his back like a Brahma bull, But that's the thing. See, most of these guys, they're not organ players. They're saxophone players or would-be piano players that decided they wanted to play organ, But you can't do that, I don't care if you're a great piano player. If you ain't studied organ, you can't play it. I won't say they can't, but Herbie McCoy don't play organ, Chick Corea don't play organ, They just stand by in awe when Jimmy Smith get on that sucker,
What did you think of guys like, God rest his soul, Dr. Lonnie Smith?
Okay, now this is the thing. Like I said, Jimmy was a cat, but people like Groove Holmes,
Woo!
And the mighty Burning Charlie Early, they could hold it in the pocket. You see, if you are Michael Jordan, right, you got to have 4 other people too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you are Dion, you got to have 10 other people too, And so I studied all of them. Freddie Roach, Big John Patton, and Larry Young.
That Unity record is...
He about drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Jimmy was a man and all that. But
what about Joey DeFrancesco?
Joey D got a lot of talent, but he never developed his own style, if you ask me. He was so busy imitating Jimmy, which he did a pretty good job of, but I told him the same thing I told Wallace Roney. I said, man, when you go get tired of proving you can play like Miles, you better play Wallace Roney, And see, when you imitate Jimmy, when you imitate Oscar Peterson, when you imitate Brubeck or you imitate Lou Rawls, when they die, you die too.
Right.
You know? And you done spent all your life proving you can do a sky hook just like Kareem, you know? Okay, you can. But that's Kareem thing. What's your thing? You know? I said, man, you know, quit that and go ahead and be yourself, but why, who they gonna listen to me, you know?
Who are your favorite piano players? Who were the guys that you was listening to growing up on the piano?
Growing up on the piano, I was listening to Red Garland and Wynton Kelly, and I was listening to
McCoy?
Well, I was grown then by the time I started listening to McCoy and Herbie, you know. But growing up, man, I was listening to Oscar Peterson, you know, I couldn't play like that, but you didn't ask me that. You asked me what I was listening to. I was listening to Oscar Peterson, and I was listening to Ramsey Lewis. You remember a tune he had named Chung King?
Yeah.
Because, see, that was the other side. I'm in the in crowd during that time, you know. And I said, I'm at Chung King, that's the monks, you know, they listen. See, you know something, man. Most of these people, they don't know nothing. You know?
Well, see, Ramsey, my grandparents, God rest their souls, there was a house of jazz, blues, and rhythm and blues. And Ramsey was that guy that you played after hours.
Yeah.
He wasn't swinging like an Oscar Peterson or a Nat Cole, and he didn't have the technical prowess of like a Mahmad Jamal, but he was down home.
Yeah.
Everyone, white, black, Indian, different, they loved his trio and the songs that he played.
Yeah.
And I think that was what was identifiable to him throughout his career.
Yeah, I love Ahmed Jamal too, but man, I like Russ Freeman. I didn't know it, but as I like Chet Baker, and you know, because see, you remember the 10-inch 33s?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have like maybe one or two songs.
Yeah, my uncle was a DJ, and I had my own record player and everything to play the Mother Goose songs, right? But the jazz records, when they got all scratched up, they given to me. And I didn't care what stick and play the same thing over and over. So I looked at Monk, you know, Swing Spring and Bags Groove, you know. Believe it or not, what Monk was doing on that, on Bags Groove, was easy to learn, you know, because it's sparse, you know. And but I like Russ Freeman, and I liked Andre Previn. You know, he had Shelly Manne and Leroy Vinegar. Mm-hmm. You know.
What did you think of? And we're gonna go back into the soul jazz and the spirituality of what you were doing.
Right.
What did you think of Les McCann?
Oh man, I love that. You know. And I like the stuff he did with
Eddie Harris.
With Stanley Turrentine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue Hour, you know.
Yeah.
That tune, Smile Stacy, Smile. And he take that one finger and do the. Oh yeah, I love. And Les McCann, as you know, could sing.
Yes.
Now, did you hear that record Eddie Harris made, That's Why You Overweight?
Yeah.
And he was laughing one day. I said, yeah, Les won't let you play that, will he? He said, no, he won't let me play that one. But Eddie Harris died, and Les McCann is still alive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you have to be a little careful of how you handle yourself, you know?
Right.
You know, I would go to see Eddie Harris every time I could, and one time, like I said, you know, you dress like an African when you really want power that can't be denied. I go to my full regalia, right? In the month of Ramadan, it was nighttime, but still was Ramadan. And he had a number 8 wash tub in the dressing room full of ice and water and Budweisers and oranges. He says, "Hey Doug, you want a beer?" So I looked at him and I grabbed the orange and put a whole lot of, you know, I bit the navel out there. And I spit the navel over in the corner and started squeezing it. And I was squeezing it. I was looking at him like I was squeezing him, you know, and sucking the juice. And he came to DC, you know, and he had Ronnie Matthews, and they was playing Listen Here. Now, if you know Ronnie Matthews is highly competent, you know, and he's sufficient, you know, but he wasn't laying that thing down right on Listen Here, you know. I said, "Man, why you got this guy, you know, he ain't laying it in there right, you know." He said, "What you mean?" I said, "Well, first, on the day-do-day, I said, the first note, he can leave out, because the bass got that, and the rest, so this is what you mean." I said, "Do-day, boo-day-da, boo-day, boo-day-da." It's more African than it comes with the quaver. That's the Shaker Ray, you know. I said, "You want me to show you?" You know. I said, "Don't let him play. Let me up there, boy. We killed that thing, boy." And the disc jockey said, Doug. I said, "What?" I said, "You cut Ronnie Matthews." I said, "Man, we used to cut cats like that for lunch, you know, because they would push me off the organ. You know, I'm 12 years old, 13. If I see him coming first, I'd shrink back like a little dog. But the first thing I know, them big old niggas said, you know, but I wasn't laying it in there right. And they were showing me, because I was on the cusp of having the door to the church open, you know?
Right.
And then when I did open it, I didn't have sense enough to go in to the Holy of Holies and really milk the juice, you know?
Right.
You know, and so, you know, I got like that, so after a while, we didn't care about nobody, you know? You up there half stepping, you got to go, you know?
That band stage is where you, it's do or die.
Yeah, right.
Beneath the skies, the voice will never arise that can sing of my love for must try to be strong. For in being strong, here's the one thing in the whole world that will save you.
I was talking to McCoy ever since I came to the East Coast, you know, because when I found out the record company was holding me back, I moved, you know. But anyway, I was in the record company little office, you know. You know how when people are talking on the phone and you know that they're talking about you? I took the phone. I said, yeah, man, this is Doug. It's Doug, man. I'm trying to find you for 6 months. And blah, blah, blah. We got this thing at Rutgers, and I didn't even know where Rutgers was, you know. So, yeah, where? It's in Camden, New Jersey. I barely knew where Camden was. He said, outside Philadelphia, right across the bridge. I said, okay, yeah. Since I can't pay you but $1,500. I said, $1,500, you know. You know, now I can't get no gigs, you know. Man, I went to a phone booth again. Because see, in them days, downbeat, they had each city, what clubs, who was playing at what clubs in each city,
Right.
in each state, right? And so I looked at Philadelphia, and the first club on there, I called, you know, and it was a black club.
Was it Peps?
Well, it wasn't Peps, it was the Aqua Lounge.
Okay.
And the man said, you the man got the wife that sang? I said, yeah. I said, man, I've been trying to get in touch with you for over a year. And they kept telling me they didn't know if you was available now. Now I hitched all my stuff to a U-Haul, drove to Florida, left the babies with my mother, drove me and Jean to New York. I checked in the West End Hotel on 97th and West End Avenue. Started booking gigs, and I saved up enough money and got an apartment on Nevin Street. Cedar Walton got that apartment now, that building, that brownstone. He bought it for $1.
Wow.
Because you know you had to rehab it, but you know you get the grants and the stuff. You know it was encouragement, but I wasn't into that. I'm into music, you know. And I said, well, look, I'll buy it back from you for $2. And but anyway, I talked to McCoy. I said, he said, we heard you was hanging out to the Vanguard. I said, yeah, I was down there because I thought you was going to be there. I didn't realize I was there a week off, you know. He said, yeah, I'm coming next week. And so after next week went over, I called him up and I said, how'd it go? He said, it went good. I said, but tell me one thing. I said, well, he said, how did you play that raggedy piano, you know? He says, man, I don't know what happened, but they got a new Steinway. I walked in there, brand new Steinway.
Wow.
And see, the thing is, they think that it's good enough for jazz, and that when a black man struggles to play music, he plays better. You know, he don't play better when you give him a suite at the Waldorf. You know, he play better when he at the low rate at the Teresa, you know, because the Teresa wasn't no dump, you know. But I'm just saying, you know, they think that you gotta suffer to play good, you know. I said, no, I gotta fly for first class, you know, to play good, you know. And it was just amazing. So then I'm trying to find God, but I just didn't hang out too much. If I'd hung out, because see, man, I thought white people hated me, you know. And white people didn't hate me. It was the people I was working for that really didn't care too much for me, you know, because it was making me not get work so they could sell the whole black jazz catalog, you know, like they was selling me, you know. And see, the another thing too, like I said, they didn't hate me, so they wasn't too pushy. But where's Doug? You can't, you know, keep us from Doug. How you say he ain't gonna play? He got a hit record, he gonna play, you know, because they didn't want to be pushy on a black company, like they taking advantage of us getting in our business, you know.
Right.
You know, because none of them offered me a contract after it went on the charts and stuff. It was proven then. They could have come to me and said, man, you don't need to be with no little fly-by night like that. You need to get with a real company, you know. That wouldn't have been too bad, you know. But none of them said that, you know, because they were scared, I guess, that black jazz was going to sue them and there'd be a backlash, you know. And see, what the hell they talking about black jazz? Every sucker on Blue Note was black. Am I lying or am I flying? And nobody said nothing about that.
Blue Note, Prestige,
right.
Impulse.
Right. Every, you know.
Strata East.
Right, well, that's a black company.
Right.
But I'm just saying, seemed like they stuck Steve Allen and Roger Kellaway on Impulse. And, but you know what I'm saying? But ain't nobody said nothing about Blue Note as a race company, you know? And it's all black, you know? Then they try to, like they trying to say now, Rudy Van Gelder was a real genius, remastered, you know. And they say he's a genius, he booked everything, recorded everything on a 2-track, you know. I said, and it was excellent and it was a hit. I said, I'd record everything on a 2-track and be excellent too. If I had Freddie Hubbard, a Horace Silver, a Dexter Gordon, a Lee Morgan, a Jimmy Smith, you know, I'd make a hit on every one too, you know. What's the big deal? You know, once he get the microphone set, you know, that's why he didn't care if they got high and they didn't come if the record date was 8 o'clock at night. If they got there by midnight, everything was cool, you know what I mean? The same drums, the same organ, thing, you know, the trumpet here, the sax there, that's it, you know. You know, what is it to do but turn on the tape recorder?
And record.
Right. Genius. Yeah, did he go to the black schools and lecture and talk and tell stories, you know, about this music or anything, or offer any advice to up and coming guys that wanted to be recording engineers? You ain't seen him on the other side of the railroad track, you know?
Right.
And now, everything they posting on YouTube, the first thing you see, remastered by Rudy Van Gelder. That's the first thing you see. And so you gotta watch that too, because see, after 20 years, or maybe it's 30 years, 20 years, you can get your masters back, right? You know, you got to give them a 2 years notice, but you can get your masters back. But a remaster is another question, isn't it?
Because you got to pay it again.
Whatever.
You got to do the marketing to remaster and reissue.
Whatever it is, you know. So, man, you know.
You got to pay the engineer to I mean, there's a fee for this.
Yeah, there's a trick and it don't include the artists getting paid, you know. So I just kind of kept to myself, you know, and just did my thing, you know.
The whole thing with vocalese.
Right.
You and your wife did some very, very important things to these songs.
Right.
And you build on what Eddie Jefferson did.
Yeah.
And you brought it to a very contemporary
Right.
generation.
Right.
How is it now that we're going to have to re-educate and get our younger generation to do exactly what you're doing? Because it seems like now the art of the song is forgotten. And also another thing that I'm kind of not liking, we got to give up some of this American songbook and start singing our stuff.
Right, right. Well, that was the whole thing, because see, hymns is not gospel music. The American songbook is not jazz. We took the hymns and gospelized it, you know, and we took the American song and jazzed it up, you know. And see, we got a problem because they've taken so much music out of the public schools, you know. See, it used to be back in the day when the top black high school in every major city had a choir and a band that was off the chain, man.
Always.
You know, it was off the chain, man. You know, they could compete with any college, you know. But not no more. They college had that anymore. So I'm just wondering what they're gonna do, you know. Now, see, what's gonna make it change is some of these black colleges gotta have jazz programs. But most of the jazz programs are in white colleges. You know? So, you know, that's what we're gonna have to do. Do you know how many black colleges they don't teach African languages?
Quite a few.
Yeah, most of them don't. And if they do, it's Swahili, you know. We got an African Methodist Episcopal Church, right? I don't know what African methods they're using, but I ain't never heard them talk about it, you know. And I've been in it all my life, you know. You know, the average black person probably can't name 10 African countries. I know they can't name 10 presidents, you know, African countries, you know. It's crazy, man. They don't eat no African food, they don't wear no African clothes, they don't practice no African religion, you know.
That's what this whole, we've been Eurocentric.
But then they want you to call them black, you know.
Right. It's that Eurocentric. It's we're in a country now where we are at the bottom in math.
Yeah.
We're at the bottom of education, English, and yet they still want us to study Shakespeare. They still want us to study Chaucer, but we know nothing about August Wilson.
Right.
Know nothing about Lorraine Hansberry.
Right.
Or Duke Ellington and Count Basie.
Right.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah. So this what's got to happen. And then another thing too, see, most of these black colleges actually belong to white folks anyway, when you count the government, because, you know, all this grant money and stuff and beneficiary donation money comes from white organizations and institutions, and even though they are philanthropists, right? But when you take people money, you got to do like they say. You know what I mean? You got to do like they say, you know? That's the same thing with the record companies. They give big advances or pay the hip hoppers all this money, you know, to sign up with them and, you know, make a little record, you know? The man give them the money, they got to do like they say. Now, they wouldn't pay me, you know, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to put Adam's Apple out, you know what I mean?
Do you own the masters to all of your albums from Black Jazz?
Well, see, the thing is, I own the publisher.
Okay.
I own the publisher. So whoever got the masters, if they use them, they got to pay me, you know. But no, I don't. But I do know that I give them a 2-year notice and take them back, you know. But right now, yeah, they working for me, you know.
Right.
You know, because I remember a while, Gary Barr said, "Give us the masters back," you know. Michael Jackson and Prince, one of their masters, you know. I said, man, there ain't no such thing as a master no more, because everything is digital, you know. I ain't worried about the master. Give me the money.
Right.
You know.
Well, look what you said. Yeah. Everything, the money's in publishing.
Right.
That's the proof in the pudding right there.
Right. So I don't want to give it away too many secrets, you know. But you got to stop and think, you know. Yeah, I got my masters. Yeah, but what you gonna do with them? What are you gonna do with them? You know, leave them on the shelf in the house, put them in a safe deposit box, you know. You should have them if you ain't gonna put them out there and make money, and you ain't got no distribution, you know. It's just, you know. But we'll get the money. I ain't even worried about the money so much. No way, they already got the money, but I want worry about the music being in our neighborhood, you know, because the music, black music, is for the uplifting and the well-being of black people. That's what Chinese music is for, the uplifting and the well-being of Chinese people, you know. European music is for the uplifting and well-being of European people, you know. And then when you say that, they say, "Oh, you racist, you prejudiced," you know, it's for all people, you know. I said, okay, well, we share the money with all people, you know, especially the ones that created it, you know. If it's for all people, you know, show me by your example, you believe what you say, you know. It's too much, man, but I'm more powerful than I ever was because I got more knowledge and understanding, you know. I just can't play as long as I could play, you know. But it don't take that long to, it don't take all that, you know. You know, all you gotta do, like Muhammad Ali knocked Sonny Liston out in the first round,
Sure
man.
did.
You ain't gotta go no 8, 10, 12 rounds, you know. You know, if you hitting right, you know. And so I know exactly where it is, you know. I know exactly where the groove is. You know, I don't have to struggle to get a groove, you know. From the time I count the song off, the groove is right there, you know. I remember when I was doing Mighty Mighty, because I did a lot of study. I didn't even know I was studying at the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, where Ray Charles went. I think he left in 1954, I think. And my uncle started taking me out there to listen to the band in 1956. So I didn't know I was listening to Ray Charles' legacy, you know. They had a big band named the D&B Romeos. But I didn't know most of them had been there when Ray was there, and they was using Ray's method of rehearsal, Ray's method about making sure it swung, you know. It had Ray Charles soul in it. I ain't heard nothing better than that in my life, you know, yet. You know, but then when the integration came, there's no more, you know. They should have said, look, we blind, it don't matter whether we can see or not. Let us stay black, you know. You know, but the thing is that that was part of my soul, right? And so we just did Mighty Mighty, right? I had Big Black, right? I had Michael Jackson's bass player. He played upright too, you know. I had Ronnie Laws, you know. Oh man, I had the best cats in LA. And so we playing Mighty Mighty, and boy, that snap, crackling, and popping double. But it wasn't quite like I wanted, right? So I said, cut, you know. But it's going, so they still playing, you know. They said, cut. So finally, they stopped. You know how that choir that Whitney Houston had in that movie, and they were singing.
Was it the preacher's wife?
I believe it was. Anyway, the producers said, cut, you know, there's a point where they didn't need it no more, they wanted to do something. But the choir wouldn't stop. You know, when that ship get rolling like that,
right,
you ain't gonna stop it, you know. So but they stopped. The boys stopped. So Dick Shirley come running out of the sound booth into the studio and said, Doug, you're young, you're inexperienced, but don't ever stop in the middle of a groove like that, you know. We can fix it in the mix, you know, or we can splice the tape. Because during that time, if it wasn't like they wanted, they would take a razor blade and cut the tape.
Old school.
Yeah, and then push it back together with Scotch tape, you know. But I didn't need to do that. They said, don't never stop in the middle of a groove like that. You see, to them, a groove is a phenomenon. You know, real monster groove is something you come by once in every blue moon. But I told them, I said, look, man, this is a blind man's groove. I have understood this and been watching this since I was 8 years old. I know exactly where it is, and I can get it back just like I want it anytime I get ready. You know? It ain't no mystery, you know. And so we talked, and I said, all right, boys. And I didn't even count it off, you know, because Maurice had them. Well, they didn't count. They said 1, 2, ready, play. They just said, shining star, commended. You know, and that blah.
Right.
Couldn't nobody do that but them, you know.
Right.
You know, they count what off. You know where the shit is You ready? Everybody ready? No. Ba-dum, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, 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 boom, boom, ba-dum. Niggas know right where that shit is. What you do? 1, 2, 3, 4. You give the play away. You know what I mean? You know how you gonna come off out the huddle and off the line, you know? But if you just get up there high, and that's it.
Jazz is about improvisation,
Yeah,
improvisation anyway. So
Right.
you're right. Giving away the play would kind of
Yeah.
destroy what you're trying to go for.
Right, yeah, you know. It's like you said, 1, 2, 1. They know they're gonna hear, you know. But if you don't say nothing, they don't know what you're gonna do. And then you just hit them with that, and it gets swept away, you know. You know, when that tornado come and blow the roof off the sucker, it'll say, okay, 1, 3, 2, 1. You know, you just next thing you know, you just swept away, you know.
Douglas Carn,
Right.
what does Black American music mean to you?
Everything. That's all it's about, you know, other than watching my people have a good time and getting together and having a good time in large numbers. You know, music, Black American music is the whole thing to me, you know. And it's built on universal, worldwide foundations of, and we got to remember, actually pure African music is different too, you know. You know, I said, yeah, man, we went to Africa on this one. I said, no, you didn't. You right here in the United States, you know. That stuff come right off of 129th and Lenox, you know. It's ain't African, you know. And there's some Chinese stuff, nose food, you know, like they said, yeah, man, the white man went to Africa and saw us playing a kalimba, the thong piano, and then went back to Europe and made a piano. I said, well, if he did, he made a hell of an improvement. you know what I mean? Some of these people, they don't want to give a white man credit for nothing, you know. You know what I mean? I says, Melvin told me that. He was talking to him one time. They said, yeah, the white man is lame. He said, yo, he's hip enough to scheme up on your kinky bean. You don't know nothing. You know enough to keep you messed up, you know. But the Black African American music, you know that's my thing, you know. But they says, oh no, you know. But if you say football is my thing, basketball is my whole life, you know, or the Marine Corps is my whole life. Oh, that's okay, you know what I mean? No, but when you say, you know, my biggest concern and my biggest love is this music, total music, you know, that's it. That's all I need, you know. That other stuff, I could live off Chinese food, I You know, I could live off Italian food, you know. A little good, you know, eat the good parts, you know. You know, but I can't make it without James Moody. You know, it ain't got to be all that extreme, you know. You know, I can't live without Bird, you know.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the House of Swing, Jazz and Lincoln Center, here in the heart of Columbus Circle here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the incomparable Doug Carn for his time. Make sure you go out and support Doug's back catalog of black jazz recordings, which are now available on CD as well as iTunes and all digital formats. For more information on Doug's upcoming tour dates, visit him on social media by Instagram as well as Facebook. Also, I'd like to personally thank the talented Karen Farmer for her dynamic vocals this week here at Dizzy's. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management, Roland as well as Desmond, for their warm hospitality at Dizzy's. As always, people, I can't stress this more than enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos here on YouTube and Vimeo, as well as leave comments. Also, follow me on social media by way of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Till next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.